Let me ask you something. Has anyone in your life ever said to you, "But you look so good," and instead of feeling complimented, you felt completely invisible? Because that moment, it's not really about the words. It's the realization that the people closest to you don't actually understand what you're living with every single day. And if you have MS, you've probably had this moment more than once, and it can honestly be frustrating as hell. So today I'm going to walk you through 7 ways your friends and your family will misunderstand MS, and why those misunderstandings happen, and really even with some boundaries to put to them, and how to respond in a way that protects your energy without feeling like you have to defend your entire life. All right, so one of the hardest parts of MS isn't really always the symptoms, and maybe even sometimes not even dealing with the insurance, but it is the constant need to explain yourself. You have to justify why you're tired. You have to justify why you've canceled plans, why today feels different than yesterday. And over time, that really starts to wear down on you. Because it's not just physical energy that you're losing, it's emotional energy too. Sometimes that can be worse. But here's the truth most people don't realize. MS is almost perfectly designed to be misunderstood. It doesn't follow predictable patterns, it doesn't always show up physically, and it doesn't match what people think sick is supposed to look like. So today I want to break that down. Not just so they make more sense, but so you can stop feeling like you're doing something wrong. At the core of all this is one simple problem. People trust what they can see. A broken leg, skin cancer, asthma attacks. Now, not to belittle other medical issues, but it's this empathy instinct that it's easy from the outside when someone is visually ill. MS lives, of course, in your central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord, which this obviously means the majority of what's happening is invisible. Your body might feel like it's glitching, lagging, or short-circuiting. From the outside, you look completely fine. And when people don't have visible evidence, they automatically fill in the gaps with assumptions. And this isn't because people are bad, it's just because the human brain is wired ultimately to simplify things it doesn't understand. And that's where these misconceptions come from. Once you understand that, it becomes a lot easier to stop taking every comment so personally. I know it's easier said than done, and start responding in a way that actually protects you. This one sounds harmless, but it can actually cut deep, because what they're really saying is, well, I don't see anything wrong. Or at least definitely that's how we interpret it as MS patients. Why this misconception happens is because people are trained to look for visual proof of illness. There's no cast, you're not limping, there's no real visual struggle. So the outside's perspective, or people's other brains, says they must be okay. But as we know, MS damage is internal. It's lesions on the brain and the spinal cord, and that disrupts our nerve signals. There is no outward marker most of the time. And this really matters because if people don't believe what they can't see, you end up feeling like you have to prove your reality. And that creates a complete emotional exhaustion over time. So here's kind of your little boundary statement, if you will, or something to explain to those. Most of what makes MS hard is happening inside my nervous system, so it doesn't really show on the outside. At the end of all this point, I want you to take away one thing. You are not responsible for making your illness visible enough to be believed. Period. This one can feel especially invalidating because now your experience is being compared to something completely different. And why this misconception happens. People only understand fatigue through their own experience. So with that, they map your words onto their version of what they consider tired. The medical why of this is, well, MS fatigue is neurological. Think of it, your brain is using far more energy than probably the average brain to send signals through damaged pathways. It's like running a device on a frayed wire. People will commonly associate it as normal fatigue. They expect normal solutions, so like sleep, caffeine, and pushing through. When those don't work, they assume you're not trying. So your boundary statement for this could be something like, this kind of fatigue isn't about sleep. it's about my nervous system struggling to send signals. With that comes the ultimate lesson: you don't need to downplay your fatigue to make it relatable. This statement creates a lot of tension because from their perspective, they're seeing just inconsistency. But from your perspective, you're living in unpredictability. The main reason this misconception happens is because people expect illness to follow a steady and predictable pattern. Obviously, MS does not. And as MS patients, we are aware of this symptom fluctuation based on heat and stress, inflammation, and varying energy levels. And this matters because this understanding leads people to question your reliability, and that can impact relationships. So here's your statement for this in terms of a boundary. MS symptoms can change day to day, even if nothing looks different on the outside. The lesson on this one is you are allowed to change your plans based on how your body feels today, not yesterday. And as all we know, it's always subject to change. This one is really meant to encourage you, but it can actually do serious harm. Why this misconception happens is because in most situations, pushing through kind of means strength. However, that logic doesn't transfer when it comes to MS. And the why of this obviously is because overexertion can worsen symptoms and trigger flare-ups. Your nervous system is already under strain. This matters because if you internalize this message, you may push past your limits and ultimately pay for it later. Here's kind of your boundary statement with this one. With MS, pacing actually helps me function better than pushing through. Your lesson is rest is not weakness, it's strategy, it's healing. This is the fixer instinct in action. Our loved ones, our friends, family, they mean well. We love them very much, but, well, it's just that. But for those well-meaning people who have a better grasp on what MS actually does, they ultimately feel then helpless and they want to try to regain control by offering solutions. Again, MS is a complex, immune-mediated neurological disease, not something solved with one intervention. Don't we wish? And this matters because constant advice can feel overwhelming and dismissive of your actual care plan and ultimately how you're feeling. Your big statement with this would be, I'm working closely with my neurologist. I really just need support right now. And the lesson, the boundary, is you are allowed to redirect people from fixing to supporting. Ooh, I know that one. I've gotten it before, although it's kind of the morbid humor of my family as well. This one is meant to comfort, but it often lands as minimization. This misconception happens because people try to reduce discomfort by comparing situations. Kind of the psychological reason behind this is because it helps them feel less scared, but it doesn't help you feel seen. This one really matters because minimization can make you feel guilty for struggling at all. An example statement for this could be something like, I know it could be worse, but this is still hard for me. And the final kind of lesson of this is you don't have to earn the right to struggle. I'm sorry, I not so secretly hate this one. It's the same as being told, oh, hey, just smile. Ugh. This one can feel more like pressure than support. And why this misconception happens is because people believe positivity equals control over outcomes. The reality of this, obviously, is that MS doesn't respond to mindset alone. God, we wish, otherwise we'd be far better off. But this ultimately matters also because toxic positivity can shut down real conversations and isolate you further. A good statement here would be, it helps me more when people just listen instead of trying to fix how I feel. The lesson of this is you are allowed to have real emotions, not just acceptable ones to others. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Most of these reactions are not about you. It's definitely all from the outside, and they're about fear. When someone you love gets diagnosed with something unpredictable like MS, well, it takes away not only your sense of control, but it takes away their sense of control too. And obviously nobody's going to handle that well. We're all going to try to minimize it. I mean, even as patients we do. Outside people are going to try to fix, they're going to try to compare to other diseases. And that's because doing something, even if it's the wrong thing, feels better than doing nothing. Okay, now this is really kind of going there, and well, it's true, but you don't have unlimited energy. I mean, a lot of people don't, but especially MS patients. Every time you explain, defend, or have to justify it, it ultimately costs you something. So instead of trying to make everyone understand, start deciding who gets access to your energy. Some people will learn, and some people will try, and some people just won't meet you where you are. That's very important to know, because protecting your peace, it's not selfish. It's part of you managing your disease. So you don't need the whole world to understand MS. You just need a few people who truly see you, and hopefully it's your closest, your loved ones around you. And if you don't have that yet, this can be the place where you start to feel understood. I hope. If this resonated with you and you've made it this far in the video, I would really love to hear your experience. Tell me, I'm curious, what's something someone has said to you that's made you feel completely understood? Lord knows I've experienced it for myself. And little example would be when I was at work as a nurse with a fellow nurse who kind of made a comment about how messy my handwriting was when I was in the middle of the flare and I couldn't hold a pen. And yeah, I kind of let her know. Needless to say, it was pretty frustrating. But that said, drop your answer in the comments, and we can have a little discussion, talk about it together. I've also added the list of boundaries for your reference in the description below. So I just want you to know at the end of the day that you are not alone in this. You're not even close. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.